Today, I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself and avoid getting scammed when buying and selling gold and silver. This is not just for precious metals beginners. I'm willing to bet that stacking veterans will also be shocked by some of the scams I share in this video. I'm not just talking about people selling fake gold and silver you can identify through testing. I'm not talking about getting a really bad price selling to a pawn shop, or even these gold at spot deals where they're gonna call you back and try to upsell you on different coins. No, I'm talking about the real scams that could fool you if you don't watch this video. But first, we have to address something. Last video, I announced a 10-ounce silver bar giveaway, but someone had to come and ruin our fun. Just a few days after publishing, there were already 1,000 comments, but some garbage person made up a bunch of fake YouTube accounts and fake Telegram accounts posing as me and a channel sponsor and trying to steal your bank account information. One morning, all at once, 6 of these scam accounts contacted every single commenter on the last video and told them that they had won. Within 30 minutes, I had deleted every one of these comments, reported and banned every scam account from the channel. But the damage was done. So many people thought that they had won, and if you were one of those folks and didn't realize that this was a total scam, I am so sorry that that happened to you. If you watch any of the other gold and silver channels, I'm sure that you've come across scams like this before. First, the criminal makes a fake account where they steal my channel logo, they make their name look like mine, they reply to your comment, ask you to message them on Telegram, and then they request you to pay for shipping for a giveaway. All of this is fake. It's BS. I will never ask you to contact me on Telegram. I will never ask you to pay for shipping for a free giveaway, and there are other ways that you can make sure it's me that you're really talking to. The content creator on YouTube has a highlighted name. These scam accounts say things like message me at Telegram number XXX, and they are not highlighted. But it's easier said than done because these scammers know that they can take advantage of your hopefulness, and that is such a shame. As one really smart viewer put it, hope turns to greed real fast, doesn't it? I really hope that you didn't get your hopes up in this situation, and I just want to say thank you to all of you citizens of the Accumulation Nation who reached out to me on Instagram and via email to let me know what was going on, or to do your own due diligence and make sure that you were talking to the right person, because in this case, they were scammers. But you got to make sure that you don't get burned by these top 10 gold and silver scams. The first scam is pretty ridiculous, and those are the 1/10 ounce gold coins on eBay that say 24K. Or do they? If you find a 1/10 ounce coin on eBay with a price that seems too good to be true, it probably is. Now, a lot of these coins come from the Cook Islands, and they're labeled deceptively, and it makes you think they are pure gold or 24 karat gold. But in reality, they've inserted a very small period right in front. So it is 0.24 karat gold, which essentially is 1% gold. So while you think that you are scoring a sweet deal on a 1/10 ounce gold coin, in reality, you are getting a coin that's essentially plated in gold. And this is super misleading and intentionally done to part you from your hard-earned money, and that's why it is the first scam on the list. But there are other scams that occur on eBay as well, like this one, number 2, the uncirculated rolls and the junk silver piles. For some old coins like Morgan dollars or Mexican libertads, some mintages can be vastly more valuable than the others, and that's why people are interested in finding some uncirculated bank rolls that look like they're in the original packaging so that they can search through and try to find some numismatically valuable coin. But in reality, the vast majority of people selling these things on eBay have actually already searched these rolls and are falsely representing them as uncirculated or unsearched. And that's why these are scams. Now, we could just say it's deceptively marketed. There are other things like junk silver piles, for instance, where someone acts like they don't know what they're doing. They'll show a pile of coins and say, hey, grandpa just died, I'm selling these coins, and they will position valuable junk silver, 90% constitutional silver coins, things like Mercury dimes or even Washington quarters with the right dates on the top. So an unsuspecting buyer thinks that they are going to score a really awesome deal on some old junk silver, but in reality, it's too good to be true. People will often sell rare mintage coins on eBay, and you don't realize that you are buying cleaned coins. Now, for those of you who are new to numismatics, understand that cleaning a coin is a surefire way of destroying its value. So if you were to check something like a red book and say, oh, here's an almost uncirculated coin, it's bound to be worth this much. Well, you could be totally wrong if they don't tell you that it's a cleaned coin. So be careful, especially on eBay. A cleaned coin can be really hard to notice from a distance or in a picture, but sometimes sellers try to protect themselves by writing it in small print in the description. Now, there are other forms of eBay coin sales that I think constitute legitimate scams, even though there are some of the biggest eBay stores out there selling coins, and those are folks who Photoshop their coins. If you are buying a Morgan dollar, for instance, on eBay, there is a solid chance that somebody has used enough artificial lighting or photo editing or color correction to make a coin appear completely different than it will appear in hand. And so that's why number 3 is photoshopped coins. And it's not just on eBay. Be on the lookout for this elsewhere as well. And don't be afraid to ask a seller to provide additional information or other pictures if you don't trust the sale. eBay is not the only place that people get scammed. There is a great forum, in my opinion, for trading gold and silver and other precious metals on Reddit. It's called PMs for Sale. This forum has set up a lot of mechanisms to protect people, including reputational feedback, but scammers can even take advantage of this, doing many legitimate sales or setting up their own fake feedback. And in fact, just a couple months ago, one scammer made off with approximately $100,000 of other people's money on one post alone. I did a video about that a few months back. Here it is if you want to go check it out after this video. I'll put it in the description. Now, scam number 5 is credit card chargebacks. Now, this can impact you if you are a buyer or a seller, but usually in the peer-to-peer market. So a lot of us are buying bullion at the local coin shop or maybe even online with a dealer like PIMBEX. These are established businesses with a reputation to uphold and protect, because any individual feedback that is really negative could have a big consequence on their future business. But if you're buying from somebody random that you've met on the internet or buying from a random eBay seller, there's no guarantee that they have your best interest in mind. And the same goes for when you are selling to them. So in a lot of these peer-to-peer transfer platforms, you're using a credit card to actually make the purchase. But as many of you probably know, credit cards have built-in fraud protection schemes, and they have the ability to report fraudulent transactions to the credit card company. But bad actors can take advantage to then claim that they didn't receive something that they should have. So what this looks like in practice is somebody buys something using their PayPal account, you send them the gold or silver, they receive it, but then they tell PayPal that it never came in the mail or that it was a damaged product, and they seek to get their money back. So the seller is SOL, because then they have to make a case in a situation where usually the buyer gets the benefit of the doubt. Now this, some people might argue, isn't a scam, but it's something that every beginner silver and gold stacker needs to know. First of all, when jewelry is bought new, it is marked up in a huge way, and you're virtually never going to make your money back if you try to sell it, especially if you're selling it just for its inherent silver and gold value. But people often do, and it can be a really good way of getting your hands on some low premium actual silver and gold weight. But you have to make sure that you don't get fooled by certain advertisements that lead you to believe that this jewelry is a higher purity than it actually is. Now, many of you might know that particularly with gold, but also with silver, you will add different metals into an alloy to make it a harder metal, to make it more resilient. But if you're buying something that is 14K, that's about 58.5% gold, for instance. Or if you're buying sterling silver, that is 92.5% silver. So you think that you're buying 24K jewelry and you think you're getting a spot deal, when in reality, you're almost paying 100% premium because you failed to calculate the purity of the gold itself. Now, a lot of you are YouTube stackers, but you should know that Instagram also has a pretty healthy precious metals community. There's a lot of buying and selling, peer-to-peer stuff going on, but there are also accounts that do these things called duck races or razzles. Now, don't get it twisted. A razzle is basically an illegal raffle. They just switch a Z for an F and think that they're skirting the law somehow. They'll put up a silver round and they'll have 10 entries for $5 each. So they're collecting $50 for a silver round that might be worth $30. But people will use this as a gambling mechanism. Now, don't get me started on this. I think precious metals are supposed to be something that is a surefire thing. So I don't really understand why people like to gamble on these precious metals, but there are people who game the system and they use fake accounts or friends accounts to promote these razzles. So they will get people to enter in. It will make it look like there's a lot of interest, but in reality, they're just an alternate account, or they're a friend who's doing 3 or 4 or 5 entries, but they're not actually paying any of the money. So then you look at it and you think, oh, this is a hot deal. I'm going to try to get in on this. I'm going to put in my $5 for a 10% chance to win. But you're the mark. You're the only person who's actually paying for a chance to win. And statistically, the odds are not in your favor. So it's just something that everybody should stay away from. It's of questionable legality, statistically so unlikely to win. And very often, some of the entries here are just completely fake and none of that money ever gets transacted. So I would just steer clear of any of these Instagram razzles or duck races or any of this nonsense. But there's also one other Instagram scam. People will set up these fake Instagram accounts. They'll buy a bunch of followers, or they'll go out and follow thousands of people, and a lot of people will follow them back, and they will steal other people's Instagram pictures. So it will look like they have a large account, a deep history of buying and selling silver and gold, but if you actually start to look close, you'll find many of these posts only have 2 or 3 likes, and there might be 40 different posts that have occurred just over the past couple of days. One good way is asking for others to kind of verify that this is a legitimate seller. Normally people who are on Instagram who have done this for a long time, who have a good reputation, will have plenty of other Instagram accounts who are willing to vouch for them, but it's still not a sure thing. And don't just look to see if some famous Instagram account is actually following this person, because a lot of people just default to following back, and a follow does not mean that that account advocates for another account. And just like the YouTube scams where they make it look like it's silver forever, on Instagram, people will do the same thing. They might throw in an underscore here, they might switch out an I for an L and hope you don't notice. So just be aware and always be very conscious when you're doing peer-to-peer transactions online with people that you don't know for thousands of dollars. You could get scammed, so you need to be on the lookout. But it's not just peer-to-peer things that you have to worry about. In fact, there are classic scammy type sales that happen even on public television. HSN or the Home Shopping Network, QVC, places like this will have shows like Coin Vault where they really try to upsell these different silver and gold products. There are a lot of people who have been scammed by shows like this, and it's not just on the television. These things show up in the newspapers as well. These sellers will pay an exorbitant amount of money for exposure on television or for a newspaper ad because they know that their margins are ridiculous. They are selling these coins for sometimes 4 or 5 times what they're actually worth. And the way that they do it is by really talking it up. They make it seem like it's rarer than it is. They make it seem like it's more valuable than it is, sometimes by packaging it or putting different coins together. And they make you think that you are just scoring an incredible deal, that you're getting a really rare coin, something that you can pass on to your children. Oftentimes they're trying to take advantage of older folks who maybe don't know any better, who maybe don't have as much experience buying from online reputable dealers like PIMBEX. And there are just so many tragic stories of children or heirs coming across a coin collection that somebody spent $100,000 on, but might only be worth 10% of that. So be very careful. Always make sure that you are doing your own due diligence by looking up mintages and looking at the real value of these coins. Now, some major red flags. If somebody is putting it into some cardboard or plastic packaging, if there's a lot of history, like little pamphlets that tell about the rarity of a Morgan dollar or the history of the American Gold Eagle, turn around and run. They are trying to upsell you and just make you overpay for something that's really not that valuable. Now, how can you make sure that you are making smart purchasing decisions when you're getting into silver and gold? One great way is to take some of your first purchases to a local coin shop and ask them what they would be willing to pay you to buy it back. And that leads us to our 10th and final scam here before the 10-ounce bar giveaway: Etsy prices. And you're probably wondering, Silver Forever, what? Etsy? Isn't that like a place where people sell arts and crafts and nonsense like that? Well, yeah, it kind of is. But the truth is, anybody can post anything on Etsy for any price. And it's not just Etsy. The same is true for places like eBay. So just because you see that a coin is priced at a certain level, it doesn't tell you anything about its actual value. Anybody can list anything for any price. And oftentimes people who don't know any better, they might find a silver coin and say, oh wow, one of these sold for $2,000. But it's an MS-70 Morgan dollar from a rare year, and they have a cull version of the same Morgan. Or anybody can post something on eBay for any price, but if it's not a sold or completed item, then no one actually paid that price for it. So I've seen this a ton of times. You go into the local coin shop, somebody's coming in trying to get some money on some old coins, and they say, well, no, I saw this coin was worth $500 on Etsy. And you just see the local coin shop owner shake their head and say, I've heard this a million times, but I know better. So make sure that when you are buying something or going to sell something, you're not relying on these fake prices that you might see on Etsy or eBay. You really need to rely on the real market value. So that means the price that people have really actually paid for a piece of silver or gold. Thanks for sticking around this long, because now we are announcing the winner of the 10-ounce Germania Mint Silver Bar giveaway. So hopefully you entered the giveaway by using the word dedication in the last video, and let's go ahead and see who won with the random comment picker. Drum roll, please. And here it is. You are the winner of the 10-ounce silver bar. Thanks once again to PIMBEX, an awesome channel sponsor. Without PIMBEX, Precious Metals and Bullion Exchange, none of this would be possible. If you are looking for a reputable online dealer where you can safely and securely purchase gold and silver without the threat of getting scammed, you know where to look. Check out PIMBEX down below.
Silver forever.